We got to air it out. Let's air it out. So we got to air it out. Let's air it out. So
how do you say that? Air it out? Air it out?
Air it out.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Air It Out podcast. I am your host, Avery Collins, joined here by none other than, which way is it? It's that way. Okay, Coach in the building. Coach, say what up to everybody. You're muted, man. You're muted.
What's going on with the people today, man? Listen, great football coming up. We're going to get this out the way now. Lamar day-to-day, people. It's a little hurt right now, but fantasy football playoff starts this week. Let's go. Good luck to all my guys, and let me win.
Not let me win. Listen, man, ladies and gentlemen, I did not make the playoffs for fantasy football. I definitely got booted out this year. So that stinks. But, shout out to Darren for making it. You better win, man. You got to win on behalf of the Air It Out, man. You got to do it for us, man.
Listen.
You got to win the whole thing. Win the whole thing. But listen, I was going to drop all my good players, but the CEO, he was like, nah, don't do that. That ain't right. I was like, okay, cool. Darius, what is up? We got kicked out, man. We ain't make it, man. What happened this year?
We ain't make it this. I made it last year. That's last year's. It was this year. It was rough, man. It was no good running backs. I feel like every week that I looked for a running back, they were all taken. Like even the backups were taken. But I just want to give a special shout out to my man Steph Curry for breaking the record, history in the making, greatest shooter of all time. And I love when Hall of Famers and greats pay respect to the younger generation, like Ray Allen being there in attendance, obviously Reggie Miller being there. It was a special moment for him. They stopped the game completely for him just for that moment. So shout out to Steph Curry for breaking the record. I think it's like 2974 or something like that and just counting. So he's on record to be at like 4,000 before he retired, which is like insane. So shout out to Curry.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Steph Curry for breaking the record. That is phenomenal. One of the greatest, absolutely the greatest shooter of all time that I've seen. And shout out to him just, being a great character dude as well, man. He's just a great dude from all accounts. I never met him, but I would love to. So a great guy. Shout out to him and everything that he is doing. Listen, man, if he gets back to those 400 threes a season, yeah, I mean, you talking definitely over 4,000, man. That's like, just think about that. 400 threes a season, man. That is why. I mean, if we're counting,
do that for what, 4 or 5 more seasons, he might hit 5.
That's what I was about to say.
Might.
Because you got to think, man. If he's doing 400 a season, we're not done this season, and he's already that close to 3,000. I mean, we talking close to 5,000 threes when it's all said and done. A record that may not ever be broken.
Nah, I think that's one of the records that will never be broken.
Listen, Chris, you are right.
You are
right. Ray Allen was salty. Like Reggie, it was like, all right, Ray, you already beat mine, so it is what it is. He like, I done lost mine already. Ray was tight. Ray was a little hot. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think. There was some time where Reggie had that lead. Like, Ray, you just retired. Like, you fresh off the boat, and Steph was like, yeah, nah, you're not going to hold on to that too long, player. That's me right there. So shout out to that. But this is not the what would we call a basketball podcast? This is not the light it up basketball podcast. This is the Air It Out football podcast. So we want to talk all things football. And today, obviously, is it breaking news? Because we kind of knew it was coming, right?
We should have did an over under.
The news dropping in today. Urban Meyer is officially out as the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. He has been fired. I mean, this is coming after all of the things that we've heard previously. I mean, people had issue with him bringing Tim Tebow in. Then we saw him at a nightclub, very hugged up with somebody who was not his wife. Now we're hearing reports about, I believe it was Josh Lambo, who got kicked at practice and said, don't ever kick me. And he was like, I'm the head coach. I do what I want, essentially. He was like, listen, man, you better make your kicks. And, okay, well, now you ain't got no job. You about to lose your job. And he has lost his job. I want to know, Darius, talk to me. What are your thoughts about this? Did you see this coming, or did you think they would let him play it out to the end of the year?
We all saw this coming at the beginning of the season. I know Chris Thomas, he made a comment, a joke, and said he got like the over under by week 11, he was going to be fired. And obviously it took a little longer, but I think we saw this coming. I mean, you look at the Jaguars, it's a great roster. It's a great young roster. It just wasn't the right coach. And I think Urban Meyer with Trevor Lawrence, before on paper, it sounds good. But obviously we saw how he did things. And then when you hear reports coming out of practice, Marvin Jones Jr., a veteran in the league, been in the league for 10 years, him and Coach Meyer bumping heads. I get it. Players and coaches are going to bump heads, especially when you're competitive and you want to win. But when you're losing and how the Jaguars are losing and you feel like the coach doesn't want to be there, his body language in the press conferences, you hear the reports. Urban Myers didn't want to be there. The franchise didn't want him there. And I'm just happy that the team, they can go both. They can part their ways, right? And I think I saw something today or a few days ago that the league just passed a rule now where coaches get a 1 year, like a trial right now. So a coach coming in, usually new coaches come in, they get like 2 years. No, you get 1 year, you prove it, and that's it. Granted, if you're in a rebuild stage, is a little bit different because a rebuild does take some time. But a guy like Joe Judge, who's been with the Giants and he's now in the hot seat, come on now. But with Urban Myers, man, it was just a matter of time. And I think the Jaguars are doing the right thing, and they just got to go in the right direction because, like I said, you have your franchise quarterback, you have a solid defense, you have a solid offense, and you just kind of got to build off that, and they just need the right head coach to elevate Trevor Lawrence's game because we saw what he can do in college. We saw some glimpses of him. We saw some flashes and different things like that in the league. It's just a matter of getting him the right head coach that can take his game to the next level. So,
yeah, I hear you. Chris said he signed a 6-year deal and got 13 games in. He'll never coach again. Actually, I was about to kick it to you, Darren, and ask that question. Do you think that he gets, another job in the NFL after being fired somewhat, for some people unceremoniously, but to me, and the rest of us, it kind of, the writing was on the wall. Do you think he gets a job in the NFL again, or do you think he goes back down to the college ranks?
All right, simple answer to your question. No, he never gets another job in the NFL. I never thought he was an NFL coach to begin with. And just for everyone out there, let's all do the slow cat because we finally get this man fired. I'm sorry. I do not ever want to hate on someone like this, but good God. Sir, from the bad publicity, the not going on the plane with your team, the reports now of kicking your players and saying you're the head coach so you can do what you want. the 2-11 record, and as we already mentioned, he has a okay, if not young and up and coming offense and defense that has a plethora of guys that can do stuff. And you have the number 1 overall pick who has, up to this point, basically been irrelevant on a team that's just drowning. I don't know what else to say about this. This is it's just all around bad.
Yeah, it's a bad situation. Do you think he was dealt a bad hand by going to Jacksonville?
No.
A dumpster fire of a team at the time.
No, and I'll make it really simple. Urban Meyer's coaching style works for college. He can hype a guy up, get him to come. They have plenty of 5-star guys. They will win games off of that alone. And in the college ranks, it's not as hard as the NFL. Let's just be honest. So I'm not saying he's a terrible, terrible coach, but he is nowhere close to being an NFL guy. He is a great college head coach, and that's where he should have stayed.
Okay, Darius, do you think he lands another NFL job? Do you think he deserves to, or do you think he goes back down to the college ranks? And again, do you think he deserves even a job in the college ranks?
Just a quick to Darren's point when he said, when we look at Jacksonville last season, they are probably the best situation for a head coach to come in because you had the number 1 overall pick. You had another first-round pick. You have a young team. You have a ton of cap space. So it was a very attractive job. But as far as to answer your question, I don't think so. I don't think Urban Meyer is going to ever coach in the NFL again just because of what he did in Jacksonville. And then if I'm a GM, right, if I'm a new GM or existing GM in the league, the first question I'm going to ask is those allegations. Are those allegations true? What were you doing at the nightclub? Those are the questions that I ask, especially if my team has a lot of veterans. My team is older. My team is more well structured, and they need that. And we're looking for a coach. So I don't think he's ever going to coach again in the NFL. I think in the college ranks, possibly. If a job opens for him, but in the NFL, not even as an assistant or offensive coordinator, because again, those are the type of questions that a GM is going to ask, especially if you're going for any type of position in the NFL. So I don't think he's going to coach again. Like I said, when he went to Jacksonville, everybody was high on it. They got their first win. They got 2 wins, but it's all around a bad situation where those reports come out, and 9 times out of 10, those reports aren't coming out just to come out, just to make you look bad. There's got to be some type of truth to those reports. So
now I'll leave it, and I'll ask this. It's a 2-part question. Do you feel like Urban Meyer may have wanted out of Jacksonville, and that's why some of these antics and things were happening, especially when he heard about some of the turnover in the college ranks with Notre Dame and potentially, we'll see what'll happen with Cincinnati and different things like that. Do you think that may have played a part in him maybe making some of it the situation easier for him to be fired? So that's the first part of the question. The second part is, do you think that he should get, again, a job anywhere as far as coaching? Darius, you first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I get the question. I like that. I like that question because, like you said, with these new jobs coming up in college, he may have wanted out. He may have did all this just to say I wanted out. I'm pretty sure he may have went to the owner and the GM and said, "Hey, listen, I'm not really, feeling this NFL thing and this, that, and the third. I went out," and they'll probably be like, "Nah, we signed you to 6 years. We're gonna prolong this and get you to play these 6 years." So I think maybe he did do that because he don't want to be there. And you can, like I said, his body language, the reports showed you that he did not want to be there anymore. Like, you can tell when someone doesn't want to be anywhere by their body language, by how they're doing things. And you look at him on the sideline, he's not engaged with his players. He's not engaged in the game at all. So I definitely do think that could possibly be it because of these position is open. Like you said, we don't know what's going to happen with Cincinnati. That position might open. He might go there and take it, especially because he is a college coach, and it's probably a lot easier for him to handle college players, right? They're trying to make it to the league versus grown men who are already in the league, who are already making millions and millions of dollars and stuff like that. So I definitely do think he wanted out, and it could have been a lot more prettier than how it was with the reports. I think it could have just been Urban Meyer's wants out. There were reports on Bleacher Report saying the Jags weren't going to rush his decision. And that kind of showed me, too, that, all right, that was the final straw before the firing, that he wanted out because they're giving him an option. So.
Gotcha. So, and I'll ask this question to both of you, starting with Coach. Your short list, give me your top 3 candidates, no explanation, but your top 3 candidates to potentially take over the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching job, not currently on the coaching roster.
Okay.
Top 3, no explanation.
Top 3, no explanation. I actually do want to say a quick one about my last pick. My first 2 is Todd Bowles. My second one would be Eric Bellamy. But my third one, and this one I want to give a quick explanation because there's no reason why Urban Meyer should have been the coach and Jim Caldwell is not. Let's be very honest, people. Jim Caldwell was a great coach when he was coaching at Indianapolis Colts. I don't care what anyone says. You can call it Andrew Luck all at once. But that guy had 3 back-to-back 11-5 seasons with a guy like Andrew Luck. And then you have a guy in Trevor Lawrence, who is now the first overall pick. Someone that's very closely related to when it comes to talent, arm strength, and his versatility with the mobility from the pocket and creating plays with his legs to Andrew Luck. That was the perfect fit. A young team built, ready to go, and a guy that knows how to lead young teams, Jim Caldwell would have been a great pick.
Okay. All right, Darius. You're muted.
All right, I agree with Darren. As far as Todd Bowles and Eric Bailey, but another name that I want to throw in is from Tampa, Brian Leftwich. I think he deserves to get some type of recognition for what he's doing in Tampa Bay and how he's game planning and using Tom Brady and everything like that. I think Brian Leftwich and both Brian Leftwich and Todd Bowles definitely. I'm sorry, Byron. Byron both deserve some type of head coaching recognition. And then a wild card, a little bit of a homer, but just because I watch him, I'm a Patriots fan, I definitely think Steve Belichick, Bill Belichick's son, definitely deserves some type of interview. Just what he's doing, calling the defensive plays, and how he's able to really get those guys going. He was the cornerbacks coach, safeties coach. Now he's calling the defensive plays, and you see the trust that his father has in him to call those plays. Obviously, Belichick has some influence, but he's giving his son the green light to call those plays, and you see how it's producing. So I definitely think he's in a running possibly for that position.
I love it. I love the Byron Leftwich pick because he played for Jacksonville, right? Why not bring back a guy who's played for the franchise? He knows the franchise. He knows the city. The city has no issue with him. They love him. I mean, he's not like the guy, but they have love and respect for the guy. I love that pick. I love the Bieniemy pick. Another name I throw in the hat is maybe Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. I think he is a good guy to be in the running for that position. Former defensive coordinator and interim head coach for the Atlanta Falcons after Dan Quinn was fired midway last season. But you saw once he got that position, that team kind of turned around. Their defense went from bottom of the league to, I believe, by the end of the season, they were top 10 in rushing defense and top 20 in pass defense. So, and now you're seeing what he's doing with the Rams and how that defense is starting to mold and gel together. I think he's a pretty decent guy. And I can't remember, but he is escaping my name, but the offensive coordinator for the Chargers as well. We saw the progression that he was able to have with Justin Herbert. I think that Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert, their styles are pretty similar with guys who have big arms. They can throw, they make any throw on the field. They're pretty accurate. They can be mobile with their legs. Never too high or too low, pretty even kill guys. I think that would be a nice match. Coach, last thoughts.
Real quick on that Byron Leftwich. Yes, it's definitely a homecoming for him, especially since he played for the Jaguars. But you got to remember, not only Tom Brady, but he got Jameis Winston to lead the league in passing yards. And along with that, and touchdowns. That same year that he had 30 for 30.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm telling you, listen, even though it was a 30 for 30 year, a lot of those interceptions were just bad balls by Jameis. Byron Leftwich knows how to call it, and I really would love to see him go ahead and be the head coach of Jacksonville. It's an all-around great story. Great guy to pick up them young guys.
Would be great to see. I would definitely love to see and who gets that job, because as Darius pointed out astutely, it is a very attractive destination. You're talking about in Florida, good weather, different things like that. They've got cap space. They've got a very young, very talented roster. And it's a pretty good market as well. So I think that'll be definitely something that I believe we all should keep our eyes open to and looking out for. Speaking of looking out for things and looking out for teams, we're looking out for what's going to happen with the Cardinals now, right? The reports are now showing that DeAndre Hopkins has I believe it's a partially torn MCL, and he is going to have surgery tomorrow. He's having surgery, and initial reports said he'll be out 2 to 4 months. Now, according to, I believe, Ian Rappaport, they're projecting maybe only up to 6 weeks. And I think that's either Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter who reported that. And that should be a very, very interesting that's going to be a very interesting development. It was Ian Rappaport who reported it. How does this injury affect the Cardinals, who, one, they just took a pretty heartbreaking loss to the Rams, and now have slid from the top overall seed in the NFC down to the third. Now they're losing their biggest threat on the outside in D-Hop. How does this affect the Cardinals moving forward, Coach? I got to know, like, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that the Cardinals can still be a viable playoff and Super Bowl contending team, or do you think this hurts them a little bit more than let's say another team with other dynamic receivers on the outside? Let's say a team like Tampa Bay, if they were to lose one of their top guys.
Well, we've actually already seen what it would look like for the Cardinals not to have DeAndre Hopkins. It's the same way we've seen with the Bucs. They haven't had Antonio Brown in a while, and they're still moving the ball very well on offense, people. But without D-Hop, the Cardinals' offense is not as explosive as it was. We all understand that. D-Hop is one of the top 3 guys in the league every year. And on top of that, he is just an absolute stud no matter where you line him up, who you put on him, it does not matter. So he's definitely going to be missed, but we see what happened. They went 2-1. And not only did they go 2-1 without D-Hop, but they went 2-1 without D-Hop and Kyler Murray. You still have Kyler Murray back there, and now he's starting to get back into his groove. Yes, he had an off game versus the Rams this past Monday, and yes, they did lose. But did you see the fight? It's not like they went down and it was terrible. It wasn't a blowout. Kyler Murray still was slinging that thing right around with no problems. They have multiple receivers for this reason. They still have Rondell Morris. They still have a guy in AJ Green, people, who is having a very, very solid season for an older veteran more player who's especially not getting as many targets as he once was. And then you still have a young guy like Christian Kirk who is starting to show himself a little bit this year. And we cannot forget, they have Zach Ertz at tight end now. They have a solid running game with James Conner. That team is built to win still. And the defense that we all thought might be susceptible to the pass and things like that, they're in the top 20 on both pass and run defense. That is a solid overall team, and they still can make noise. It's just going to matter of how deep in the playoffs can they go without DeAndre. Yes, they'll make the playoffs, but how far can they go without him? And if they do get him back, what would they get? Will they get the 100% DeAndre, or will they get 80? And will that be enough?
Okay, I like it. I mean, yeah, good points. Good points. They definitely went 2-1 without DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray earlier this season. They're just coming back off injury, which I know DeAndre Hopkins has to be a little bit upset by that. One game back and now you're out for potentially, I mean, obviously the rest of the season, potentially, a game or two in the playoffs. So Darius, talk to me. Do you think this affects their chances of making the playoffs? Because they didn't clinch, right? So winning that game would have clinched them a berth in the playoffs. They did not clinch a berth in the playoffs. Does this affect them moving forward, potentially even sliding out and not making the playoffs? Or do you think they have enough around them to still make the playoffs and make a push toward the Super Bowl?
I think they have enough to make it to the playoffs. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins' injury is too big of a scare because their offense isn't solely based on him, right? Like they have different weapons. James Conner revived his career going to Arizona. This guy's a top 15 running back in the league right now. He's playing phenomenally well for a guy whose last season in Pittsburgh didn't really end well and then battled injuries. Like Darren said, Christian Kirk, he's coming into his own. You still got AJ Green, a guy who's still a mismatch nightmare. You do not want to play him one-on-one because the guy can go up and win the 50-50 balls, and he still has that little bit of burst of speed that he once had when he was in Cincinnati. You still have Zach Ertz. And the name that I love Darren said was Rondell Moore. And then you have Kyler Murray. Now, here's what's going to happen. Depending on who they play in the playoffs is going to matter, because if you play a team like Tampa Bay, you play a team like Green Bay, you're going to need DeAndre Hopkins to win that game. And if you're going to play those teams, it's most likely going to be in the second or in the NFC Championship game. So in that case, they're going to need him because you cannot go head-to-head with Tom Brady and you do not have your number one wide receiver. You cannot go head-to-head with Aaron Rodgers and you don't have your number one wide receiver. We saw what happened when Aaron Rodgers didn't have his number one wide receiver and what he did to Arizona. So just imagine if they play and he has Devontae Adams. You cannot go into one of those games like that. You can play a team like if Philly gets in or, if a Minnesota somehow makes it. You can play one of those teams. But when you play those big boys again and you start to play them grown men and they're home and they got that crowd, you need DeAndre Hopkins. Even if he's not fully healthy, you just need him to be on the field because he just poses a threat. Now I gotta have a safety over the top for him in case he goes. You know what I mean? And I gotta have a spot with Kyler Murray. So I think the Cardinals are gonna make the playoffs. I think the Cardinals are gonna make the playoffs. They went 2-1 without both of their star players. They're gonna make the playoffs. It's just a matter of when they get in the playoffs, who they play. You're going to need DeAndre Hopkins because without him, you're not going to the Super Bowl. He's just that good of a player to not have him. And you want him in that situation. You want your star players to play in those games because you pay them the big bucks. So in that case, Cardinals going to make the playoffs. But man, they're gonna need DeAndre Hopkins. They're gonna need him.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that you really can't replace, right? You can't really replace that production, that physicality, and just what he does for the team in general, that boost of morale, what he does in the locker room, him being a leader. You don't replace that type of production on the field. I think one of the things that you guys both pointed out was they are still built for success, right? A.J. Green is a veteran wide receiver who can definitely be a serviceable guy if he remains healthy. He can still win one-on-ones. He can still win the jump ball. He's still a threat to go down the field. We saw that. And then obviously Christian Kirk with his speed. Rondell Moore is obvious. He's showing that he's potentially the next up. I think that, and this is just with this being his rookie year. I mean, there's a potential that it's going to be a pretty strong fight for that. Who's number 2 next season? Just from the glimpses that we've seen from him. And so that'll be very interesting. But I think, Coach, you touched on it the most, James Conner in that running game, the way they were able to run the ball pretty effectively against a pretty stout Rams defense with Aaron Donald in the middle was excellent. I think James Conner, his physicality, especially late in the year, this is the time you want to be able to run the football. I think they're going to lean on that a little bit more, especially because of the fact that they don't have DeAndre Hopkins. And then you obviously you have Kyler Murray with his legs as well. I think if they lean on him, and obviously James can catch the ball at the backfield, and let's not forget, Chase Edmonds was slated to be back this last game. They held him out as precautionary reasons because they obviously want him for the playoffs. He's a weapon that's coming back as well. So outside of DeAndre Hopkins, they're actually getting pretty healthy on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, defensively, you lose guys like J.J. Watt, and that hurts. But I think I agree with you guys both that they're still built to make a playoff run, a playoff push, and still maybe be a team that people got to look out for as far as like potentially getting themselves to the Super Bowl. I think that they are now, coincidentally, I believe that they're probably the third best team in the NFC. Coincidentally, after taking that L to the Rams and losing their number 1 spot and being moved to number 3, I think now it is, and just my personal opinion, I think it's the Bucs, then the Packers, and then I would still say the Cardinals, just because I'm still unsure with the Rams. I think the Rams, if they get on a win streak here, I think they obviously vault themselves. But it'll definitely be interesting to see. I can't wait to see exactly what's going to happen and how they are going to adjust. I'm assuming, and this is my assumption. My assumption is that Christian Kirk actually breaks out and shows that he can be a solid number 1 guy, not just a number 2, and not just a gadget guy who runs down the field. Speaking of outbreaks, man, oh man, COVID is running rampant all over. I mean, really all over most of the major sports. I mean, the NFL and the NBA have been hit hard. Stars getting, diagnosed with COVID. Russell Westbrook has just been diagnosed with COVID. Odell Beckham was diagnosed with COVID directly after their win against the Cardinals who we just talked about, and so many other big names across the league, whether it's coaches, players, personnel. COVID is running rampant right now, and the NFL is even changing their protocols and how they address it even as we speak. So Darius, talk to me. Do you think this is going to have an effect, 1, on the season itself, but 2, especially on the playoffs, and maybe even like fans moving forward in these playoff games?
As far as fans, no. Fans are still going to go to these games. That's not going to stop them. If you're a fan of your team,
Well,
nothing can stop you.
not whether they're going to come, whether or not the NFL is going to restrict them potentially. Like
No, I don't think so. I think you continue. NFL is gonna continue. Baker Mayfield actually, I was reading before the show. Baker Mayfield ripped the NFL for the protocols and the guidelines. He just basically said delay the game, and the NFL is not delaying this game for nothing. They're not going to suspend the game. They're not going to delay the game. They're going to let this game play because what is it all about? We touched on this a few months ago before the season. It's all about the money. As long as the fans are paying, as long as fans are watching, the NFL is not going to delay this game, especially because it's a Saturday primetime game, right? Like we don't really have like college football is on, but the bowl season is starting and the big games don't really start until next week. So you need some type of really entertainment, and Saturday is going to bring it. As far as the outbreak, I mean, it's sad that obviously this is happening in the NFL, and like you said, in NBA, Russell Westbrook, I think DeMar DeRozan, like these are big name stars that are being out for COVID. But some type of good news is you need 2 negative tests, and then you can play before the game. So I think that's the highlight. But I think the NFL was kind of just like, we put these protocols in place. I mean,
yeah. So
get vaccinated, get your booster shot, and play. I understand where Baker's coming from, delay the game from a health standpoint with all these outbreaks and different things like that. But the money outweighs the safety in this perspective, in my opinion, especially because now we're almost done with the season. If the NFL wanted to do something in the beginning. They're not going to do nothing now. They ain't going to do nothing now. They're just like,
yeah. So to add on to that, the NFL protocol is Johnny. What is up, man? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to have you. Thanks for jumping on. Yeah. So to add to that, 2 negative COVID tests as well as being asymptomatic. So that is one big caveat there as well. As far as Baker talking about delaying games and such, if we're going to be honest, I think he wants games delayed so he can heal. Because he's hurt, right?
yeah.
Like he's still hurt. So that's the real reason he wants games delayed, not because he wants he cares, quote unquote, about COVID. There's real quick, and then
I will say this: what's gonna suck is in the playoffs, if your star player or one of your star players on defense catches COVID, that's what's really gonna matter. That's what's really gonna be affected. But it comes that mindset, next man up. Quick thing: when Kyle Duggar went down with COVID for the Buffalo game, I was like, all right, I don't know how we're really gonna win this game because he's a key piece of our defense. It's the next man up. And we won the game, and the Patriots won the game, and they played pretty well against Josh Allen. So I think from that, it's going to really matter in the playoffs if we start to get reports that, those big name players tested positive for COVID and potentially may miss a divisional round game. So I think from there, it's going to get interesting when that weather gets colder. And then
it'll definitely be interesting. And like you said, it's definitely next man up. I think that boils down to coaching. I think that's where you'll see where coaches are really good. Obviously, we saw last. So was it the Thursday night game or Sunday night game with the Rams? Jalen Ramsey, literally the day of the game, diagnosed with COVID, and he had to miss it. So yeah, that's good. Avery, that take you had earlier on Raheem to replace Myers is one of the best take I've heard. Going to credit that to my show tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you, Johnny. Thanks so much. But like I said, I mean, Raheem, he's a really good coach, and I think he deserves a little bit more recognition around the league. As far as what he does. Coach, talk to me. I mean, COVID outbreaks across the league. Do you think this is going to have an effect on maybe the playoffs? Obviously, we know it's affecting teams. And their star players. Do you think that this is going to be something that the NFL monitors closely, or do you think it's just going to be something that they continue with their current protocols and hope for the best?
All right, so there's a few different things I want to hit on with this. First off, yes, it's definitely going to change protocols. It already has. They're mandating now by December 27th that, if I'm not mistaken, all Tier 1 and Tier 2 staff members must be with their booster shot. This is a mandate. That is change that is going to have to happen for plenty of staff, employees, coaches, all the nature. And then when you think about it, you have 7 teams right now in COVID protocols. And in the last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday alone, there was roughly 60 players. 60 with COVID. That is an absolute absurd number right there. And just Monday alone, they had their highest number diagnosed with COVID, which was 37 in a single day. That right there is what's going to scare the NFL. They do not want an outbreak of this nature to go and spread throughout the entire NFL. Yes, we can talk about maybe just a few teams here and there not affecting it, but what happens when half of the league has half of a team? The Browns have 18 guys right now on COVID-19. And just think about this. Exactly. What are we going to do? Are we going to have the backups come in for that? Just hear some of the names that right now are on the COVID-19 list. You have CMC, who's, even though he's not playing, big piece of that offense. Ari Burns, who's come in and been a great corner for the Bears. Eddie Goldman. You have Baker Mayfield. You have the head coach, Kevin Stefanski for the Browns. You have John Johnson, Troy Hill, Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, Jarek Wills, Chris Jones for the Kansas City Chiefs, people. Rashawn Slater, the all-pro at this point. Let's call it what it is. All-pro, Pro Bowl, left tackle rookie with the Chargers. Then you have Ramsey. You have OBJ, Jordan Fuller, Darius. Like, oh my God, there is 3, count them, 3, all 3 starters for the running backs of the Miami Dolphins, COVID, along with the rookie sensation Javon Hollins, Alexander Madison, Danielle Hunter. Like, the list goes on, and it's ridiculous at this point. And the fact that the NFL even contemplated the aspect of not having only a 18-week year, but a 19-week season for the regular season, that shows you how serious this is really becoming. So, listen, they're going to have to take this seriously. There's going to be changes. And once you think of all these facts here, like, wouldn't you want to change?
Got to. I think the NFL definitely has to get on top of this ASAP because, as we know, this is the money league. And, again, as Johnny astutely stated, and you all kind of touched on as well. I mean, you're talking about stars. Imagine if Jalen Ramsey was out for a playoff game, if Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, one of those guys were out with COVID during a playoff game.
They delaying that.
Especially, let's say it's like an NFC or AFC championship game. Oh yeah. Literally, that'll definitely be something that people are going to look at. But I think it's definitely worth noting. The NFL, I will say this: I will give them credit for what they've done prior to the season, trying to make sure that they had COVID under wraps, whether it be through vaccinations or protocols or whatever. I think they did their due diligence. Obviously, even if you're vaccinated, you can still catch COVID. So some of these players are, in fact, vaccinated and still catching the virus. So I think the NFL did their due diligence, and I think that they're still trying to do so. So I will give them credit in that regard. I will also give the players credit because prior to this week, we haven't heard too much about too many people catching COVID. It was here and there a player would catch it and different things like that. And so I think they've done a great job as well of keeping themselves safe and following the league's protocols as well. So shout out to both on both ends. I think this is just one of those situations where COVID is going to COVID. That's just really what it is. Coach, last thoughts.
Just to put it in a little more context for you, going off of what you said, there was 110 between September 5th and November 27th. 110 cases of COVID. 70 in 2 days.
Yeah.
The NFL is watching. They're going to have stuff happen.
Yeah, that's an astronomical number in 2 days. So it is what it is. This is what they're dealing with, and I believe that they're going to come up with a plan to rectify the situation. In the meantime, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to get into the juicy portion of this show, and you know what that is. It is the Air It Out Game Picks, ladies and gentlemen. listen, we have not decided on a prize just yet, but we're talking behind the scenes, and once we figure it out, we'll let you guys know what it is. But it's the aired out game picks, and I just want to go over the totals because it's getting really, really tight in this race. Okay, so Darius, too many upsets, man. Too many.
I know, man.
This week, man. Still a winning record for the week, but if you would have just went with your head instead of your heart for maybe 2 of those picks, you'd be right back into this thing. But I think you fell behind just a little bit. It's still time. Again, still time for you.
I got a couple of weeks left, man. I'm not doing no upsets.
Time on back. Don't know if you're going to catch me, but you can definitely catch second place potentially. All right, so Darius went 9-5 this week, followed by Juan, who went 10-4. I and Coach both went 11-3 this week, and so we had a pretty solid week. Oh, Johnny Dean also 11-3. See? Look at that. Look at that.
Johnny, send your pick so I could copy him.
Listen, Darius needs some help, Johnny. Help him out. Send it to him via DM or however you want to do it. Bringing the overall totals to Darius, 117-91-1. Juan and Darren tied for second place at 122-86-1. Darren has officially caught Juan. He is now tied for second place. Listen, man, 122-86-1. It's a close race. And then I am at 130-78-1. It's a close race. I mean, one bad week for anybody, and it could be a real slippery slope.
Listen, Avery, just one bad week for you, and I don't know.
Hey, listen, one bad week for me, and it could be all she wrote, right? So it'll definitely be interesting to see how this plays out down the stretch. But now it's time to get into it. I want to know your picks. I want to know who you're picking. And I'm going to start with you, Coach. I want to know your aired out game picks and your one explanation. Talk to us. Johnny Dean, 124-83-1. Wow. Johnny technically is in second place over you guys. Look at that. Look at that. Shutting you guys out. Man. I love it. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. All right.
Johnny, it's cool.
Game picks.
We're going to have to beat Johnny too then. It is what it is.
Game picks and you one explanation. Let's do it.
All right. So we got to go and start off with tonight's game. I'm going Chiefs. Raiders, Browns. I'm going to Raiders with all the COVID stuff going on. Pats versus the Colts. Pats. Packers versus the Ravens. Even with day-to-day Lamar, I'm still rocking with the squad. Panthers versus the Bills, I'm going with the Panthers. The Cardinals versus the Lions, I'm going with the Cards. The Jets and the Fins, I'm going with the Fins. The Cowgirls versus the Giants, picking the Cowgirls. This is sad, people. This is sad. Washington versus the Eagles. I'm actually going to save that one. The Titans versus the Steelers, Titans. Bengals versus the Broncos, Falcons versus the 49ers. Sorry, Avery. 49ers on this one, man. The Hawks versus the Rams. It's going to be the Rams. It's going to be a good game, though. Saints and the Bucks. It's going to be the Bucks. And then Vikings versus the Bears. It's the Vikings. And then my explanation game. We got Washington versus the Eagles. I know Washington has a ton of COVID stuff. They have plenty of star players out, like Chase Young, who's out for the season already. But Ted Washington's team has been pretty hot of lately. Let's not mistake it. Yes, they lost to the Cowboys last week, but right before that, they were on a nice little winning streak of roughly about 3 or 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. And well, let's come on, people. Washington versus a hot Eagles team. That's going to be a great matchup right there. The Eagles are not the best team in the world, but with it being division rivalry, the insult of him not even being there and Earl Thomas not even being on the team. Come on, people. We gotta wait till he comes back first. Thank you very much. But Eagles and Washington, I got Eagles. I got the Eagles by a very small margin. I think it's like I said, it's gonna be a great game. I really want to see if Jalen Hurts is able to play as well. And no matter who wins, this is gonna be a tight race down the stretch for the NFC East because the Cowboys, they haven't separated that much. They're keeping it pretty close. And at this point, the Eagles, have a very, very possible shot at the playoffs, people.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I like the picks. A couple upsets in there. A couple games I was like, yeah, I'll go with that as well. But yeah, man, that's good. I like it. Okay, Darius, you are up. You aired out game picks and your one explanation.
Tonight's game really is gonna come down to which defense you trust more. And Kansas City defense is just playing really well, man. You can't really bet against them. I'm taking Kansas City. Patriots, Colts. Come on, Patriots. Raiders, Browns. No Baker. No Jarvis. You still got Nick Chubb. I'm gonna take the Browns. They're home. I just like the Browns being home. Panthers, Bills. My hot take last week: the Bills are not winning another game. I stand by that. I'm taking the Panthers. Cardinals, Lions. I'm taking the Cardinals. Jets, Dolphins. I'm tired of picking the Jets, man. Every time I pick the Jets, I think they're gonna win, and they just let me down. I'm taking the Dolphins. The Dolphins are hot. Their defense is playing well. Cowboys, Giants, Dallas, Washington, and Philly. This was going to be my explanation game, but I agree with Darren on all points. And then you have to understand one thing, too. It's really going to come down to Washington's offense, not their defense, because their defense played really well. But I'm taking the Eagles. They're home. You get Jalen Hurts back. I think he's going to prove everybody wrong. Steelers, Titans. I'm taking this Titans. Texas, Jaguars. I'm gonna take the Jags. I think they rally around getting rid of Urban Meyer and they get a win. I'm gonna take the Jaguars. Bengals, Broncos. Really, really underrated game. A lot of playoff implications on the line right here. Bengals are still not out of the win of winning their division. The Broncos still have a chance to win get in the playoffs. I'm gonna take the Broncos. 49ers, Falcons. You got Deebo Samuel versus Cordell Patterson. Question is, who do you trust? Who do you trust more? That's really what it's going to come down to. Who do you trust more? I like Deebo just because of how Kyle Shanahan schemes offensively. So I'm going to take the 49ers. Seahawks, Rams, Packers, Ravens. Sorry, Darren. Even if Lamar is playing, you really just can't bet against Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Lamar can go toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers just yet. I think Aaron Rodgers is too good. Saints, Buccaneers. I'm gonna take the Buccaneers, and then my game pick. My explanation game is kind of weird because it's the Vikings-Bears game. It's a divisional game, but the Vikings aren't out of the playoffs. The Bears, obviously, we know what they are. This is really now more Justin Fields. Let's see what you can do. Let's build up some momentum so we can go to next season. But the Vikings are a good team. It's just consistency. I don't really understand. I don't understand them right now, but I just like the Vikings. I think Dalvin Cook, what he did last week against that Steelers defense, we all saw it. The man shredded them. I think he does it again against the Bears, and I got the Vikings winning. And I think Justin Jefferson has another monster game against that banged up Bears defense, and Kirk Cousins continues the trend of winning in primetime games. So I got the Vikings.
All right. For those who don't know, Coach did miss one game, the Texans versus Jags. He said he's going to go with the Jags as well. I like it. Okay, cool. Let me bring this up so I can get my picks in here one time. Okay, who we got? All right. Uh-oh. Okay, all right. It'll be interesting to see. All right. Tonight's game, Chiefs-Chargers. We've seen these Chargers beat up on the Chiefs sometimes. Like, we've seen it. But I agree with Darius. The defense of the Chiefs is playing pretty well right now, even though Patrick Mahomes isn't wowing us every week as we are accustomed to seeing. I think this is the week Patrick Mahomes has a Patrick Mahomes type game. I'll take the Chiefs. I won't be surprised if the Chargers win, but I'll take the Chiefs in this one, especially the way they ran over the Raiders last week. Raiders versus the Browns Saturday. I want to say the Raiders stopped the bleeding, but I'm unsure with the Browns. Not having Baker, not having Jarvis. Obviously, they're going to lean on Nick Chubb. You know what? I think I'm going to go with the Browns at home as well here. I think I'm going to go with the Browns just because if they lean on Nick Chubb, like I said, Case Keenum is a serviceable guy. He can come in and win you a football game. So I'll go with the Browns here as well. Patriots, Colts. Ooh. My heart is saying Patriots, but I got a weird feeling the Colts do something last minute and get a W. I'm not sure why, but I'm gonna take the Colts here. I think the Patriots.
It's Jonathan Taylor. That's what you're thinking about. JT.
Hey, listen. Again, I'm gonna take the Colts here. Panthers versus the Bills. I'm gonna take the Bills. The Panthers just don't look right. Cardinals versus Lions. Self-explanatory. We'll go with the Cardinals. Jets versus the Dolphins. Yeah. I'll go with the Dolphins. They're just playing a little bit better right now. Cowboys versus the Giants. This is tough. Just in case anyone wants to change their Buccaneer pick, the Saints have beat the Bucs 8 straight regular season games.
I'm not betting against Tom Brady.
Hey, division games, man, they're different. Cowboys versus the Giants. Giants are reeling right now, man. I got to go with the Cowboys, even though it's a division game, but I'll go with the Cowboys. Washington versus the Eagles. Underrated game of the week. Both teams 6-7. Both teams still in the running to not just make the playoffs, but win their division. Man, oh man. I'm going to go with Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'll go with the Eagles here. Oh, wait. No unzip the hoodie this week. Yeah, no unzip the hoodie. No unzip the hoodie this week, unfortunately. All right. Next we have where we at? Titans Steelers. Another tough game. But I'll go with the Titans. Them getting Julio Jones back helps. So I'll go with the Titans. Texans, Jaguars. I'm going to go against you both, and I'm going to go with the Texans. I think the Texans get a W there. Bengals versus the Broncos. I'm going to go against you both again. I'm going to go with the Bengals. Falcons versus the 49ers. I'm going to go against you both again. I got to pick my boys. Give me my Falcons. Seahawks versus the Rams. I'm going to go with the Rams. Though I won't be surprised if the Seahawks pull that out. Packers versus the Ravens. Packers only because Lamar is questionable. Saints versus the Bucks. Sorry, I feel you, Johnny, but I'm going with the Bucks. They're hot right now. And then Vikings versus the Bears on Monday Night Football. Can Kirk Cousins win 3 games in prime time this year? I mean, prior to this, he was 0-9 his entire career in prime time. He has not. I don't believe. Has he lost in prime time this year? I'm not sure, but if he has, I can't remember. I think he goes 3-0 in prime time this year. Vikings over the Bears. And I'm not going to do an explainer because I explained some games already. All right. We're going to go into Hot Take Thursday because you already know it's going down. So we got to get the Hot Take Thursday going. Hot Take Thursday is going down right now. And I'm going to start it off with I'm going to go with, I'll go with you, Darius. Give me your hot takes and then get on out of here. It's hot.
Just breaking news. Von Miller is on a COVID list now. So the Rams have a total of 25 players. Bleacher Report just broke that. So hot take, no Urban Meyer, which can mean only one thing, right? Trevor Lawrence has a breakout game against the division rival. Trevor Lawrence throws for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and the Jacksonville Jaguars score over 35 points in a win against the Houston Texans. That's my hot take because no Urban Meyer. I think Urban Meyer was holding Trevor Lawrence back, and now that he doesn't have him, he's going to have a breakout game against a really bad Texas defense. And then what better way than doing it against your divisional rivals?
Okay. I like it. That's spicy right there.
A little spicy.
I appreciate it. You're going to drop the mic on us. See what I'm saying? All right. We will see you next time, Darius. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Coach, give me your hot takes, man.
He's a little crazy here. The craziness out here. It's
just
cool, just a little bit. But I might sound just as crazy when I say my hot take. As we all know, y'all think that my Ravens is going to lose. That's fine. That's cool. But Ravens will only win by a field goal. And now, people, hear me out. Aaron Rodgers will not throw a touchdown at all, but he will throw for over 400 yards on the Ravens defense.
He's not going to throw a touchdown, but he's going to throw 400 yards.
Listen here, our red zone defense has been some of the best this year, but from the 20 to the 20, we are garbage when it comes to covering the pass. So, people, it's all going to be Aaron Jones at the touchdowns.
Wow.
Telling you now, Aaron Jones goes for 3.
Okay.
And scored 24-21.
Okay. All right. Listen, you heard it there first, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron Rodgers throws 400 yards. No touchdowns. Absolutely none. I mean, you feel me? She gets it. Wifey gets it. She gets it.
Listen here. Let it be.
Hey, listen.
It's gonna make sense. I'm gonna make it make sense, people.
You might want to listen to her. She sounds like the wise one in the relationship. All right. I'm gonna go here. Yeah, my hot take is should I do it? Should I do it? Yep. I'm going to do it. The Atlanta Falcons pitched their first shutout of the season. Bang! 49ers don't score a point. You heard it. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Nope.
I said what I said. I said
where's Jerome?
what I said.
Jerome, the drug test needs to come out now.
I said
we have people talking craziness.
what I said.
Craziness. The Falcons.
I said what I said.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is real, huh?
Mm-hmm.
This is real life. All right.
Shut out.
Well, people, I think it's time to wrap it up.
Shut out.
Let's wrap it up. Yeah, Johnny, it's bull. That's real bull right there.
Yeah. All right, listen, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Aired Out Podcast. Thank you so much for joining on. We truly appreciate it as always. Listen, man, it's been a great show. I need you all to, everybody takes this week in a while. Yes. I mean, we got to. It's Hot Take Thursday. You know we got to get spicy out here. We got to get spicy. So we appreciate it. Thank you all for joining on today. Thank you for leaving us your comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to YouTube. All right? Share these videos. You want to share them, right? Turn on that notification button so you can know when we go live, so you can leave us your comments, because we like to interact with you all. So please, please, please do so. Follow us on all social media. That is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if MySpace come back, maybe we'll do something like that. I don't know. Great show as always. Gave me some stuff to talk about. We appreciate it, Johnny. If I can jump on and tune in, I definitely will. So yes, for sure. But yes, please don't forget to follow us on all your social media platforms. We truly, truly appreciate it. And don't forget to check out the website, www.insidethehashes.com, where you can get all of our content. That is player interviews, podcasts like this and the RPO. You can get your fantasy football with the Fantasy Aces Gaming. All types of things you can get at the website. But until next time, for Coach Braxton and Darius Riddick, who jumped off, and the one and only, we did not forget about you, and our CEO, who could not be on today. We miss you. We miss you, but it's all good. I'm Avery Collins, the Aired Out Podcast. We are over and